what Brother Hassan Noor has quoted is a verse from the Quran from Surah Qiyamah, chapter 75, verse number 8, talking about وَقَصَفَ الْقَمَرِ. وَقَصَفَ الْقَمَرِ means when the moon is buried in darkness. It also means that when the moon it becomes darkened. Or some of the translations say when the moon is eclipsed. So وَقَصَفَ الْقَمَرِ means when the moon is buried in darkness or when the moon is eclipsed. For the real context, if you read from Surah Qiyamah, from verse number 1, we come to know that it's talking about Qiyamah, the day of resurrection. And the non-Muslims, when they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they ask the believers, how will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be able to reconstruct our bones? Because after we have been buried and all our bones have been disintegrated, how will Allah be able to reconstruct our bones on the day of judgment? So Allah replies in the Quran, talking verse 1, 2, 3, 4, that we can not only reconstruct the bones, we can reconstruct the very tips of your finger. This is in context. So on the day of judgment, when the unbelievers say, how will Allah be able to reconstruct our bones? So Allah says, not only the bones, we can reconstruct the very tips of your finger. So what does Allah mean by saying we can reconstruct the very tips of your finger? After science advanced in 1880, Sir Francis Galt had discovered the fingerprinting method. And he said that no two fingerprints, even in 1 million people, are identical. That means the tips of the finger have got fingerprints. And these fingerprints differ between all the individual human beings. Even in 1 million people, no two fingerprints will match exactly. So today, the police, the CID, the CIA, they use the fingerprinting method to identify the criminal or the robber, or if any theft has taken place. In identification, fingerprint is used. Now we use it for opening a lock. Put the fingerprint, the lock opens. So Allah says, on the day of judgment, leave aside the bones. After they have been disintegrated, I can even reconstruct in perfect order the very tips of the finger. Then verse number 5, 6 asks that, do you know what is Qiyamah? Or when will Qiyamah come? And the reply is there, when the sight is dazed and when the moon is buried in darkness. Verse number 8 in Surah Qiyamah. Verse number 6 says, when is Qiyamah? When the sight is dazed and when the moon is buried in darkness, or when the moon is eclipsed. And verse number 9 says, when the sun and moon will join.